Rick, Jamal, all of you, could you guys explain? Do you believe that that championship was the biggest finals upset in NBA history? Because obviously,
Biggest finals upset in the history of major sports in the United States. I defy anybody to point something else out that was as dramatic as what we did. It was a special group of people who came together like a family, cared about one another, played the game the way it was. We epitomized, I think, what the game of basketball should be about as far as a team goes. And it was all sports. Tell me, everybody said, "Oh no, the Jets." No, the Jets were picked to be the winners in the AFL. I mean, the Miracle Mets. No way. I mean, we were a team that people said we'd be lucky to win 20 games. So you can't find anything more dramatic than what happened, and it's the most overlooked. It's hard to believe that thanks to Hopper and working that there's going to be a documentary. You got thanks to him, the Cardiac Kids, and all our great shirts. 50 years it took. If our team had done what we did and we were in New York, they would have had a documentary the next year. 50 years overlooked. No invite to the White House. No cover of Sports Illustrated. It's really a shame. And the shame is that my teammates never got the recognition that they deserved. Because it wasn't about me. I got stuff because I was MVP. But you don't win by one person. I mean, hell, we would have never been in the finals if it wasn't for George Johnson blocking every shot to the Chicago Bulls took in Game 7 in the Western Conference Finals. I was stinking up the building. I mean, you win because your team accomplishes it. And I don't think they've got the recognition. So hopefully this documentary will do justice to that, and these guys and the guys who are no longer with us will get the recognition they deserve.
Hi, Rick. I saw you guys all greet Art when you came in. How special was it to have the relationship you guys had with a writer like Art back in the day? Because now I know that the relationship with media and the players is not what it used to be in those days.
I can start out because I remember Art quite well in some of the articles that he wrote about us during those periods of time. And I thought they were maybe a little bit unfair as to the way he characterized us. But when I left the Warriors and went to New Jersey, it was a lot worse than I could have ever had. So yeah, it was good. I think the coverage today is obviously different than it was back in our day, and
It's a hell of a lot better than Glenn Dickey, I can tell you that.
But yeah, it was a little brutal there at times. But I think we got to the point where we were respected by everybody in the league, and that also helped us to, when we did leave the Warriors, to go to other teams and be accepted as quality players. So that was good in that respect.
Jamal,
Yes, man.
how would you what kind of coach was Al Attles?
He had tremendous respect from all of his players, first of all. And I think to a man, I mean, we wanted to do well for ourselves, but we didn't want to disappoint Al. And that's highly unusual in a competitive situation where guys are competing for minutes, money, so forth and so on. And I think the fact that he truly cared, for us individually. I mean, that sounds a little bit soapish, but he did. And I think his career as a defensive stopper set the tone for our team defensively. That we didn't have to think about should we play defense. We knew who our coach was. So if we wanted to play, we had to play defense. And I think Al Attles was just a real special piece of the puzzle.
And he didn't have an ego. In fact, actually talking about the defense, he did, I think, the greatest coaching move he did prior to the season. He brought in Bud Presley from Mendel Atherton College, who was a defensive specialist coach. And he instilled a defensive philosophy in us that I think really stuck with us. I still have the vivid picture of him telling Clifford Ray to get up and run at him. And he started jogging. He said, "No, run at me." And he was out of weight, smoker, doing stuff. Clifford barreled into him, knocked him back over, rolled over a couple of times. And he said, "That's what I'm talking about. You got to take the charge and put your body on the line." I'll never forget that. And I think that set the tone for what we were able to accomplish. And because we were a team that committed ourselves to defense. And, everybody says defense wins championships. That's a bunch of bullshit. You don't win. You have to outscore the opponent. Now, if you have to be a good defensive team to win. In the history of the NBA, I think only 2 teams were not in the top 10 in defense that won championships. So that's kind of an anomaly. And they weren't down in the 20s either. And so we focused on defense. We were a small team, and we still, I think, led the league in rebounding, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, look, the only guy that was any of the strength and stuff was Clifford. You know, he had about 5% body fat in those days. It was like the wall running into him, and physical. And then, you know, look at skinny George, skinny Jamal, skinny me, Jeff. I mean, we weren't a bunch of big, strong guys, but we did the things the way we were supposed to do them. And I think that, you know, that was Al's best move as a coach prior to the season. And then the second best move is benching me in the third quarter of Game 7 against the Chicago Bulls.
And the third best move was bringing in Bill Bridges.
Yeah. Yep.
Guys, Tim Roy, Warriors Radio, and George, I wanted to ask, because this is in the line of the Al Attles question, the fact that he was able to play so many people and allowed you had some great moments in the postseason that year. If you could, tell me how important that was, that he got so many guys involved, and like when Rick got cold that day, he could bring other people out to do it in a different way.
Yeah. Well, Al had instilled in us early on after we had gone. Actually, I think the trip to Hawaii was a galvanizing trip for us because we became more of a team that particular year. But he always told us that we were going to play regardless of the game. I knew that I was going to play. Clifford was going to start. I was going to come in. I might not play as many minutes per night. It depended on how the game went. But I always knew that I would be able to play. So that was how he got us to believe in ourselves. Charles would come off the bench. Jeff would come in. You know, we didn't have a drop-off. We didn't have a drop-off in defense. We didn't have a drop-off in offense because Derek Dickey could score. I mean, you know, we had guys on the bench that could come in and just take up the slack. So we were that team. I was sitting at dinner last night, and I called home and told him after having dinner that if I could close my eyes and not look in the mirror and see how old I am,
We are.
that we were that same team still after all these years. And that's very, very special. You know, we care about each other. We do a lot of things with each other. And the fact that we are on the verge of maybe getting a little notoriety about the 75 years, that really makes us feel good. So.
And one other thing I like to point out is that we had selflessness. I mean, yeah. Well, let's take a look. Butch Beard was an all-star player who got traded and came to Hutch. And yeah, he was willing to accept the fact that he wasn't necessarily going to have the same role, might play a little bit less. Jeff Mullins, all-star player, willing to come off the bench. You know, then we got Bill Bridges, willing to come off the bench. I mean, guys just were willing to accept whatever it is that Al asked us to do, asked them to do, and everybody played with only one goal in mind, and that was, doesn't matter who gets it done as long as we get it done and we are able to win. And I think that's what made us really a super special team.
When is the documentary supposed to come out?
Now, Hopper's the only one who can answer that.
That must be, I can only imagine that being kind of strange, like a documentary made about yourself, seeing your own life play out. What kind of moments or scenes are you most intrigued to see?
I'm hoping, for me, that I want my team and my teammates to get the recognition they deserve. Basketball is a team sport, not individual. I got a bunch of recognition because I was MVP, but we only won because of all of us. I mean, everybody contributed in one way or another to the success of our team, and that's what I was most concerned with. I felt really good that Hopper brought in a gentleman, I don't even know his name, who, you know, he did Goliath, the story, when he was up for awards and stuff, and he came up to me in the All-Star game and I said, what do you think? And he said, Rick, I think you're going to really like it. I said, is it going to portray us and our team as to what we accomplished in that matter? And he said, I think it does a great job of that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it and seeing these guys get the recognition that they deserved 50 years ago. Yeah.
We also have some stars in here that's in the documentary. Art Spander's in the documentary. Monty Poole's in the documentary. So, you know.
Fantastic.
Question for any of you three. In a world and in a league where the most modern, most recent thing is often seen as the only thing that matters, why is it important for fans to know the history of the game, to know about teams like the 75 Warriors? in that era?
Well, I think I just said, I think these guys agree with me, don't you? That it's not, I don't think it's all offense now. The only teams that or play defense, the teams, that's the redeeming thing about the NBA, as crazy as it is at times, is that the redeeming quality is only the teams that play the game the way it was designed to be played win championships. Teams that are unselfish, who don't do everything one-on-one, who play defense and try to be a good defensive team. And those are the ones that wind up winning. The ones that don't do that invariably wind up on the short end of it. So to me, that's the most redeeming part about it. I think that they overuse the three-point shot at times. I'm kind of shocked at the way that some of the teams defend the three-point line. I mean, the three-point line is such an important part of the game now. It's an integral part of the game, and you'll never win a championship in the NBA if you don't have three-point shooters. It's just a matter of how you use it, the quality of the shots that you take, and also how you defend it. And I don't think a lot of teams defend it well.
Rick, you mentioned several times this group didn't get the recognition that it deserves, and hopefully it does with the documentary. Why do you think that was?
I hope it's not because of me. I'm serious, dead serious. I know the NBA is not happy with me. I mean, I came in the league and made first team All-Pro, MVP of the All-Star game, led the league in scoring, did stuff, and left. I can tell you, they were really mad at me. And it changed basketball to the better because I challenged the reserve clause and opened it up for guys to be able to change teams. I mean, it was a changing factor. I was Kurt Flood before Kurt Flood. Everybody talks about Kurt Flood. Hell, we did that in 1967 after I left. And so I'm hoping it's not that they were mad at me and they didn't want to give us a lot of recognition, but they didn't. I mean, we were so overlooked. It was hard for me to believe that we could be so overlooked.
Also, as a small market team like today, in today's world, today's game with on social media, online, you can be anywhere and just put it out there. Back then, it was different. You had to have, guys like Art Spander and Monty, writing about you. But we were in Oakland. We weren't even in San Francisco. We were in Oakland, a small market, and I think we just kind of got lost in the shuffle. Plus, we had two black head coaches, at a time when the league was, kind of unstable, going through that transition of, the drugs and all that. And, I hope it wasn't solely because of Rick.
Also,
I don't know, Rick, it might have been.
But like they say in life, the best things in life are worth waiting for. I just feel badly that we lost some of our teammates and our owner and our general manager and our announcer and a whole bunch of other people, that they are going to miss out on the opportunity to see the honor that it's going to portray for this team and what we accomplished.
And then also, we played a style of play that's really caught on today, playing 10 players. And I agree with Rick, in any era, there's certain style of play are going to do better than others. And I think when you play fast and you play smart with a little defense, you normally do pretty good.
Ron
my
Krejcik.
comment would be that particular year in the world, there was stuff going on, and we didn't get invited to the White House, which was disappointing for me because that's what you look forward to after winning the championship. So I kind of took that in as maybe being part of the reason that we weren't invited to the White House, because there was so much going on outside of basketball. Maybe I'm wrong, but we are at this point going to have what I think is going to be great for us. If we get this video done and the world can see who we really were and are, and I think it's going to be good. It's better late than never is my opinion.
The interesting thing is I was writing for the Examiner back when the Warriors finally won after 40 years, and I did a column about the similarities between that championship team and ours, and it's really pretty remarkable. They went deep. They went 10 deep. They had two centers that were playing like our two-headed monster, Clifford and George. The scoring between Steph and Clay were comparable to what Jamal and I did. Of course, he was Keith back then. I mean, it was really, really interesting, the dynamic as to the comparison between what we did and what the championship team did back in 14, 15, I think it was. So that was pretty interesting to me.
Ron Krejcik from the San Francisco Chronicle. Rick, good to see you again. You perfect lead in to my question is sort of what it's been like for you three guys to see after 40 years of mostly struggling to see this franchise have these last 10 years like they've had, and how much have you followed, and what do you think about this year's team?
I came to the Warriors, and I was a really, really long shot. So I played for 4 of the teams out there. I left the Warriors, but the Warriors is the team that I associate most with. So when I see the Warriors play, although I don't care about the games as much as I did at one point, I'm always pulling for the Warriors. I mean, it's just kind of instilled in me to be that way. There are a lot of great teams out there, but just playing here and the type of players that we played with, that was very special, and it still is to this day for me. So
Yeah, I always pull for the Warriors. I don't follow them as closely.
Even though you were a crummy Laker?
Yeah. Well, Rick, I follow them too.
you can't help but follow the
Yeah,
Lakers.
but you just think
beyond
of our
everything.
team, the usual aspect of our team. What team in the history of the NBA had 2 rookies be such an integral part of a team's success?
And I'm proud
Rookie
of
of
that.
the Year and Phil Smith, who became an all-star player.
A
and
great
got-
player. And
I
we,
mean,
we battled in college.
Yeah,
He's a
but-
great player at USF, where Bill Russell and KC went. And we battled classic battles all through college. And, you know, it was a real honor for me to play with him on this team and do as well as we did.
yeah, and the same another thing. With 2 veterans, right? Iguodala, right? Lee, all-star guys, came off the bench. Were willing to come off the bench. Jeff Mullins, right? Playoff time. Bill Bridges, willing to come off the bench and accept a subservient rule, having been all-star players. I mean, to have that kind of selflessness and willingness to do whatever is necessary to achieve success is something that is missing on a lot of teams and a lot of sports. It was special.
Rick, you mentioned the column you wrote about the 40-year gap, your team versus the 2015 team, strength in numbers, an adage that rang true in so many senses. How do you think your team would fare in today's game? You did not have the three-point line when you guys won the title. So how does your team's game adapt to the modern era?
Well, we would all go out and practice three-point shooting. Even myself. I mean, I was 33%, but you know, if I was playing today, I wouldn't be happy unless I was a 40% shooter. I mean, you just have to set standards for yourself. I can tell you're sitting right there in front of you is one of the great shooters who used to help me with my shooting. I remember I was having trouble with my shot. I go, what the hell am I doing wrong here? And I had Jeff look at me and watch, and he just a little subtle thing. He said, Rick, it looks like you're releasing the ball as you're starting to come down from your jump shot. And that was all I needed to be able to get myself back. And he was one of the great shooters. So if he had been around and playing, there's no question in my mind, Jeff would have been a 40% three-point shooter. No doubt about it. You know, same. Butch could score and do something. If that were the case, Butch would have practiced three-point shots, right? Unfortunately, Clifford probably would want to do that, and we didn't want that to happen. So, but Jamal would have been able to do it as well, right? I mean, you practice the things that you need to get better. That's why at the end of the season, I always said, all right, what do I need to do to get better? You know, I still shot my free throws, but I'm not going to spend all my time shooting free throws. I spent my time working on those areas of the games that I felt I was a little deficient in so I could get better.
I can say that Clifford and I would love to play now with the Euro step. We could not be stopped in or around the basket if we had that Euro step. So
I know. We just saw a video. Somebody brought it out yesterday at dinner. Jeff brought it out, and it's showing Giannis making a move coming down the court. He took 5 steps without dribbling and no travel call. I mean, it's unfreaking believable what they let these guys get away with, carrying the ball, traveling, the moving screens that are set. I mean, it'd be nice if the officials started to call the game according to the rule book once again.
All right, we're going to do a photo op now, get everybody a jersey, a town jersey.
Thank you.
For you. Yeah, if we could get the microphone. You guys stay up there. The other 4 can go up there, please, now.
oh. Raymond.
You okay?
For a second, just so we can get back there, a clean
Wait,
shot.
which way are we going to do it? Turn it back to the, he wants a clear shot. Turn it back to Towns, guys.
Turn back to the town real quick. Got that?
All right. All right.
Got that? All right. All right, let's
Now
all
we're
right, let's go ahead and
switching.
turn it around now. And we, photographer, well, actually, turn it around, and why don't you get the shot first, and then get the camera guys in the middle. Big smiles. Clifford, pull yours up a little bit there. There we go. Yeah. 6 smiles. There we go. That looks great. All right, cameraman, go ahead and get in the middle.
One's the Warriors TV here.